Hello class, and welcome to lesson 21 and 22 notes video, where we are going to be talking about multi-step equation solutions. We're going to split these notes up into the top part in step 1 on the first half, then I will show you step 2 and 3 on the bottom half. So go ahead and you can start copying the top portion. And we'll have to zoom out a tiny bit to get steps 2 and 3 in here, but here is the bottom portion. Alright, so let's take a look at these notes. Like I said, we're going to be looking at multi-step equation solutions, and if you want to compare this to the previous lesson where we were doing one-step equation solutions, it's actually quite similar. However, this time, you guessed it, we are doing multiple steps to find the value of that variable. So let's jump right in. When solving for the variable in multi-step equations, step 1, we've got to identify the order of the operations being done to the variable. Now, nothing has changed from our last lesson. Last lesson we said our goal, what we want to do, I'll give you a second to shout it out because I can hear you through this video. What's our goal? Exactly. Isolate the variable. We want to get it by itself. Anything that's around it, separating it from the equal sign, get rid of it. So, last lesson we had to identify the operations being done to the variable. This time it's very similar, except we know that there are going to be more than one of those operations. So instead of just identifying the operation, we are identifying the order of the operations. So there's no better way to do that than to use this example. We have n divided by 4 plus 1 equals 6. Okay, so what we see here, we have two different operations being done. We have a divided by 4 and we have a plus 1. Okay, now using PEMDAS and the order of operations, we know that division comes before addition. So if, let's say, hypothetically, we knew what this n was and it was some magical number that sat up there, and we were doing, hey, whatever that number is, if we wanted to solve it and we didn't know here that this answer was 6, let's just imagine, oh, we don't know that this is 6, we would have to solve whatever n is divided by 4, and we'd have to add 1 to get 6. Now, we've written that over here on the side if you've already done the notes and finished writing them down. We see here that the first thing we do, or the first thing being done to the variable, is dividing by 4, and the second thing being done is adding 1. Okay, so here is our order. We've identified, that's way bigger than I would like it to be. We've identified the order of the operations being done to the variable. First, dividing by 4. Second, adding 1. Now, step 2, remember, our goal is to get that variable isolated. Step 2 in that goal of isolating the variable is to perform the inverse operations on both sides, just like from the last lesson of notes. We do the inverse, aka opposite operation, on both sides. And why do we do it on both sides? I'll give you a second to answer. Yes, because we need to keep it balanced. It's got to be balanced. So, anyway, let's get back to the notes. Perform the inverse operations on both sides in reverse order. Now, this part is important. We need to do it in reverse order. So here, we see that the first thing being done to the variable is dividing by 4, and the second thing being done to the variable is adding 1. Okay, so when we do these inverse operations, we have to do it in reverse order. Now, what's the inverse of dividing by 4? Multiplying by 4. What's the inverse of adding 1? Subtracting 1. Okay, so as we can see, when we perform those inverse operations, the first thing we do is going to be subtract 1, and then the second thing we do is the multiplying by 4. So we see an example of that down here. We have n divided by 4 plus 1 equals 6. That was our original expression. And we see that the first thing we do is to subtract 1 from both sides. So n divided by 4 plus 1 equals 6. Now we do the plus 1 minus 1. Those two things cancel each other out. And we do the 6 minus 1, which is 5. Okay, so we're going to rewrite the expression now with the plus 1 missing and the 6 having been turned into a 5. So it's going to look like this part. N divided by 4, notice the plus 1 is gone, equals 5. And notice that the 6 has become 5 because we subtracted 1. So now if this is our expression, n divided by 4 equals 5, now we only have a one-step expression. We got to get rid of the divided by 4. How do we get rid of dividing by 4? Right here, multiply by 4. So we're going to multiply by 4 on both sides. Divided by 4, multiply by 4 cancels that out. So we're left with just the n. And then we have 5 times 4, which is 20. So here we see our answer, n equals 20. Now, just like in the last lesson, our final step is to check our answer by substituting our value for the variable. Okay, so this is what we've done here. We've rewritten our expression. N divided by 4 plus 1 equals 6. There's our expression. And now instead of n, we're going to take this 20 and replace it. So we see that here. 20 divided by 4 plus 1 equals 6. And it is important that we perform the order of operations in the correct order here. So we do our 20 divided by 4, and that equals 5. So we rewrite the entire expression. 5 plus 1 equals 6. Okay, so 5 plus 1 is 6 and equals 6. Therefore, it is true, which means we were correct. N does equal 20. Now, if you want to see one in fast motion without all the explanation in the notes, let's try one right over here, a multi-step expression. Let's say we've got 3 times n plus 4 equals 25. So here let's identify the things being done to the variable. First off, it's being multiplied by 3. Second off, it's adding 4. Okay, so if we do reverse order, first off, we subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, these two cancel out. 25 divided by 4 is 21. Then we bring down everything else, our 3n. Okay, now we have 3n equals 21. So what's being done to the variable here? Multiply by 3. In order to do the opposite of that, we divide by 3. So times 3 divided by 3 cancels itself out. We are left with just n. We have isolated it. Very good. And then we divide both sides by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Voila! We know n. Or do we? Let's double check and put it back in the expression. We had 3n plus 4 equals 25. So instead of n, we're doing 3 times 7 plus 4 equals 25. Let's do this in the correct order. 3 times 7 is 21. Bring down your plus 4 and your 25. And yes, 21 plus 4 does equal 25. And 25 does equal 25. So we were correct. N equals 7. Alrighty, now I hope that helped. And make sure you got all these notes. We will be practicing it in class. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.